Let's meet a few of our education partners. We begin with Pardada Pardadi in India.
This was a village where girls had no joys, no dreams, and no hope. 2 decades ago, it was Asha's dream to hope for education and change. In 2000, Pardada Pardadi Educational Society was founded with a vision to educate and transform the lives of girls like Asha. Since then, over 4,000 girls have benefited from a free education at Pardada Pardadi School. It sparked a revolution. Along the way, these girls have challenged endemic gender bias to become confident, well-educated, self-reliant young women. And Asha continues to be a role model, driving change by teaching and inspiring young girls back at her school. Her name means hope. And it is our hope that you will help us make the dreams of thousands of other young Ashas come true. Help us give them choices, dreams, and hope.
Next we meet Miguel Angel Asturias Academy in Guatemala. Imagine a poor indigenous boy in Guatemala, a farmer's son, whose family could not afford a notebook and pencil to send him to school. How likely is it that a kind stranger would give him the notebook and pencil so that he could attend school? Not very likely. Now, how likely is it that this poor boy would go to the university, or that during Guatemala's long civil war, he would narrowly escape death, not once, but 3 times? Finally, how likely is it that this same boy would one day establish a high-quality college prep school for poor indigenous children? None of that is likely. Jorge Chojolan had 3 close calls with death as a Guatemalan student activist. Those brushes with death clarified his life purpose. Jorge resolved to build a school where poor indigenous students could get a top-notch education and rise out of poverty. He wanted students to think critically on controversial topics like human rights, racism, sexism, the environment, and Guatemala's decades-long civil war. Jorge Chojolan built his school just as he envisioned. The Miguel Angel Asturias Academy has been operating for 30 years. It is our education partner in Guatemala. The Academy's high-quality education is reflected in its university admission rate. Nationally, only 3% of students go to the university, but at the Academy, that figure is 80%. As Jorge and his wife Veronica built their school, they were blessed with 4 daughters. Those 4 girls grew up to become a physician, a dentist, a lawyer, and an educator/architect. In addition to practicing their professions, all 4 daughters volunteer at the school. Laura provides free medical care and will one day take over as superintendent. Patricia provides free dental care and also teaches math and physics. Carla teaches English and handles legal affairs. Katy supervises the curriculum and with her architectural training will oversee building expansion. Slowly, Jorge is transferring operation of the school to his daughters. This is the transformative power of education for girls. 2 of our sponsored girls at the Academy have transferred to vocational schools that will assure them of jobs. Gabby began nursing school, and and Jimena started culinary school. Gabby and Jimena both wrote beautiful, heartfelt letters thanking us for our sponsorship. We continue to sponsor Yari, who has a definite aptitude for math, so much so that she receives advanced private tutoring. And we are thrilled to sponsor 3 new students: Allison in the 1st grade, Maria, also in 1st grade, and Natalie in the 4th grade. All of the girls come from loving families who see the value of good education but cannot provide it for the daughters they love. Educating a girl means more than books and tuition. Basic physical needs must be addressed first. Most of our education partners serve healthy meals at school, provide medical, dental, and vision care, and visit homes. Here is a compelling example from Uganda. 15 years ago, a man named John Bosco Matsiko founded Uganda Empowers to help HIV widows and their children. The children needed education, so John Bosco established a school for vulnerable children, insisting that girls be educated too. Like flowers sprouting in the desert, our 10 beautiful scholarship girls are going to school and rising above the circumstances of their birth. Their smiles move our hearts, and yet the girls are dogged by illness and disease. With your help, GENDAP is funding badly needed public health measures and emergency medical care. That's in addition to paying tuition for our 10 scholarship girls. In 2022, after flooding, we stopped deadly outbreaks of malaria and waterborne disease. We gave each girl mosquito nets, mattresses, bedding, and bed frames to lift the bedding out of the mud. To fight waterborne parasites, we replaced each girl's flip-flops with sturdy walking shoes. The following year, the region experienced the opposite problem: severe drought. Teachers had no choice but to send students out during class time to fetch water for the drinking and cooking needs of the school. With nearby creeks dried up, students walked to faraway, filthy water holes shared with cattle and animals. To deal with this, GENDAP funded a clean water system for the school. The system collects rainwater from the roof and channels it to a giant tank. Even then, our girls have had no respite from health problems. Later that year, students began contracting UTIs, urinary tract infections. These stemmed from the school's crude latrines and the lack of running water for hand washing. GENDAP refurbished the latrines and paid for water to be piped to hand washing stations. Meet Sophia. Sophia loves to study. She is the top student in her class. But unfortunately, she has missed school due to typhoid and other illnesses. With your help, GENDAP paid for Sophia's medical expenses and provided wholesome, nourishing food for her family. Sophia wants to stay at the top of the class. But why is Sophia sick so often? Extreme poverty and hunger have made her vulnerable. To combat hunger in the community, John Bosco launched a social enterprise, a solar installation company that provided electricity for villagers and generated enough revenue to feed the hungriest families. John Bosco made a point of employing women in key positions. Unfortunately, COVID struck soon afterward, causing the social enterprise to fold. Today, we are helping John Bosco find startup money to relaunch. If you are interested in helping, please talk to us. What is the gold standard for academic success? Rightly or wrongly, many of us consider admission to Harvard as the Mount Everest of academic achievement. Yet what could be more unlikely than a girl from a remote village in the Himalayas summiting that peak? Against all odds, that's exactly what happened with a scholarship girl sponsored by our partner in Nepal, Hands in Outreach. Her name is Nirupama. She grew up in a remote Himalayan village, but was able to attend school in Kathmandu thanks to our partner, Hands in Outreach, HIO. The mountains and breathtaking landscapes of her childhood were deeply imprinted in her imagination. Her love of the land led her to an interest in climate preservation. An outstanding student, Nirupama is pursuing environmental studies at Harvard. Nothing fills us with hope and pride like the work of Hands in Outreach. Hands in Outreach educates girls in the slums of Kathmandu. They are the poorest of the poor, and they live with their families in dark, squalid rooms with mud floors like this one. Thanks to Hands in Outreach, these girls, who otherwise would never go to school, receive comprehensive, quality education from preschool to elementary school, to middle school, to high school, and through college. Over the last 5 years, GenDep has supported students of all ages. Ricky Bernstein has run the organization for 30 years, and thanks to his unwavering, lifelong commitment, he has watched tiny preschool girls blossom into doctors, dentists, lawyers, teachers, accountants, and even a financier. Yet no matter how high they soar, they never forget their roots, reaching down the ladder to pull up other girls